Boogie2988, aka Francis, will never ever change his ways. Ever. Now, back in the 2000s/early 2010s, there was a guy called Life in a Tent, and he made a video scamming his viewers and subscribers by saying things like, and I'm only loosely quoting him loosely, when he said, quote, I've been involved in internet marketing for a lot of years now, and instead of spending cash and stuff, you guys can get $20 over and over, depending on how many signs up you have. People go to your link, they'll sign in, you'll get $20, and we're all happy. Close quote. Or close loose quote. Life in a Tent said something like that. In actuality, what that was all about, he presented a pyramid scheme to his young and impressionable subscribers. Yeah, a pyramid scheme. Fast forward around 2011, I think. I remember during my cooking classes when my classmates and my teacher talked about the Japanese earthquake, and I am not sure why that was brought up. Maybe because they talked about it on the radio, I guess. We played the radio during cooking classes. And around that time frame, early 2010s, Life in a Tent made a video called Thumbs Up for Epic Earthquake, and he uploaded that video on YouTube before anybody else did, and so it went viral, I guess. I mean, I say I guess because I discovered Life in a Tent years later, in the mid-2010s or so, after I graduated from school. It is strange that Life in a Tent didn't pop up in my YouTube feeds back then. Maybe it's got to do because I live in Sweden and Life in a Tent lived in North America, I guess? Or maybe it was the Netherlands, maybe. If, and I say if, he was being truthful about that, or whatever he was talking about, the Blackbuster Critic. Speaking of Blackbuster Critic, now called the Blackbuster Show, thought that this was the last straw, with the whole thumbs up for Epic Earthquake. And so, he invited Life in a Tent in a Skype call. I think it could have been Skype, I guess. And one of the things that I think I remember Life in a Tent saying to Blackbuster Critic was, well, I took the earthquake video down because it's called being a man. And Blackbuster Critic seemingly cringed at him and replied with, a man doesn't make excuses for his wrongdoings. And then around 2011 or 2013 maybe, Life in a Tent found more trouble, this time with Mr. Repzion. And Life in a Tent was all like, don't sit there and talk as if you got Gust experience. I'm 10 years older than you. And then fast forward years later, Life in a Tent is in a $20 million debt. This is what's been building up itself to Life in a Tent. Or maybe its futuristic hub now, if he prefers. I know he said stuff like, oh, this channel doesn't belong to me, it belongs to my girlfriend, my wife, whatever. He said something like that to the court. And I wish I could be more blatant, but since YouTube changed its policies about hate speech and defamation laws and what have you, I am unable to call him for what he is. Yeah, I wonder why I can't say what I want to say anymore. I'm not saying YouTube's new rules and guidelines is his fault. I'm not saying that. Or at least not entirely it isn't. But he is one of those many people out there who cry, you're slandering me, And many more people like him with his way of thinking. And YouTube and the lawmakers slowly over time changed the rules. So now people can't say that a banana is a banana without being cancelled. But today's Appendix A isn't for Life in a Tent. No, it's actually for Boogie2988. Now, I remember I finished my open message for him on a Friday, but then I decided to schedule it for a Monday instead, the week after. And while I was waiting, within that time frame, Boogie got himself into more trouble. He decided to upload a video advertising crypto coins. Now, Boogie said something to the effect of, if you invest in this coin, then you too can be a brokey. So, Boogie didn't say stuff like, hey, invest in my scam coins. And I don't think he even said, buy my coins, everyone will win, they're a rare commodity, hurry, click this link below, blah blah blah. I don't think that's what he said. But regardless of how he expressed himself, or if it was good or bad press, it was still advertisement all the same when he openly talked about it. But what my main issue is in this Money for Cancer saga is the way Boogie conducted himself. Supposedly, Boogie visited the hospital for testing, and then, however this may have played out, I actually do not know, the doctors may have told Boogie to wait for a few days for results, maybe, and then supposedly Boogie went home, a little bit in a panic, and for whatever reason, he was sure in his mind that he was diagnosed with cancer. He was in a panic, so it is believed. Then he produced a video advertising his crypto coin in order to pay for his future cancer diagnosis. I'm not really sure if this is what happened. These are just my worst guesses and what's been circling around the internet. Maybe, maybe not. And now that I got the explaining out of the way and speculations, I'd like to talk about what I think of this. You know, his crypto scan video. I feel disgusted. Before he made that video, I had a little bit of goodwill for him. But now I don't. I was hoping in vain that Boogie would turn all of this around and be the good guy I imagined him to be all those years ago. Whatever pity, sympathy, goodwill and hopes I had for him is now out the window, for good. And now, by now I mean back then when Boogie uploaded that video, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Sorry Boogie, but you're on your own now. On that day you uploaded that video was the day that my last ounce of hope for you disappeared. Heck, I also heard you didn't refund your audience. As I am a former fan of yours, Boogie, it pains me to say this, but I truly wish you never uploaded that video. I still wanted to see you in the best light. I wanted to believe that despite what that documentary showed of you in your worst angle, I wanted to believe so bad that good things would come for you. I still wanted to see you as this misunderstood anti-hero who, despite all of these hardships, survived a not so good upbringing, evolved, and then moved on with his life. Or at least that's what I thought happened. I thought that is what you were trying to say in your videos, I thought. But alas, now I see you in a different light. Now I see you as someone who's forgotten what made his YouTube channel good. No, scratch that. I don't think the YouTuber cycle even applies to you anymore. Maybe I should instead say that I see you as someone who, years later, stopped caring about YouTube and then, in his later years, thought about the money instead. He became a misery merchant who didn't seem to care about the legacy he would leave behind. When you uploaded that video, now you're furthering the impression that it is mostly about the here and now and the money. Now I think I can understand you may have some debt in your bank account, you know, the red zone, and again, I'm not asking for specifics, and I wouldn't have the audacity to tell you to get a real job. No, I wouldn't. Based on what I've gathered about you, you don't seem to have an upper education or anything like that. So it seems to me. And so the only jobs that are available for you seems to be cleaning and janitorial jobs. You getting a job in your 50s would just be pocket change for you versus how much money you're making on the internet. I understand. But I have an idea for you, Boogie. On Amazon, I'm willing to pay you around $25 or $35 for you to write a book of your life. What you went through as a child, what the 70s, 80s and 90s was like for you, what you thought of old school social media before YouTube and before Wikimedia, what you thought of YouTube when that popped up for the first time all those years ago. Yeah, stuff like that. You can write about whatever you want, whatever comes to mind for you. And you know what? It doesn't have to be your life story or memoirs. If you don't want to, it can be something else that comes to mind for you, like fantasy books or something. By the way, in that documentary, I couldn't help but wonder why at least an early 80s baby like you would be nostalgic for Pac-Man. I looked up when you were born and my goodness, you were born in the 1970s, 1974. I thought you were a millennial. You're not. You're a Gen Xer. A Gen Xer born in the 1970s. Yeah, it makes sense. Or at least makes sense to me. Oh, you know, Generation X, MTV, Michael Jackson, Space Invaders, a little bit of bowling and pizza, skateboarding, Apple II, Atari, and, of course, Pac-Man. I thought Boogie was at least born in the early 80s, 1982 I thought. And he is online on the internet and on YouTube as if he himself is a millennial. But nevertheless, anyways, before I close off this Appendix A, I'd like to clear something out for Boogie, for you. Boogie, I don't hate you. I only disagree with how you conduct yourself. And I do not want to see a news article about you in a not so distant future where you, offered something to the wrong person and then that person ended up suing you for $20 million. I don't want to see or even imagine that. And if you're not going to look yourself in the mirror and see, look at yourself, then I have a feeling that without even realizing it at first, you are going to be shoulder to shoulder with life in a tent if this keeps up. That is all.